What's up, guys? We are at the new office on the square in Lawrenceville, and today's video is going to go over some of the different products we are using to restore the 100-year-old building. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, I would appreciate you doing that, and if you could do me a favor and hit that like button, that helps the YouTube algorithm and it'll help grow the channel. When restoring old buildings, a lot of the time you are faced with having to restore old brick. Old brick is typically not fired at the same temperature as modern day brick, so you will have soft brick. A lot of times the mortar is also soft, so you have to put a product onto your brick and mortar to harden that. Here we've used this Conservair consolidation treatment product, and it's simply a spray that you put into a sprayer and you spray over the wall. We've done that at least 3 times on the majority of walls, and in some of the really soft areas like down here at the bottom we've hit it actually 6 times. And what that treatment does is it soaks into the brick wall and hardens on the surface, and it lets water continue to wick out from the face of the wall. So if any water were to get into the brick wall, it's a breathable sealer. And that's important because if the sealer was not breathable, what can happen is you can actually pop off the face of your brick. And so you don't want to do that. So you want to get a breathable sealer. What I did today is I finished going in and drilling holes from our last episode down at the bottom of the brick wall and inserted the dry rods. And hopefully that is going to prevent the rising damp from continuing to occur on these bricks. Over on this side of the building, the bricks are actually nice and hard, and there's very little dusting. But on the other side of the building, right in the center, we're continuing to have a lot of dusting, and the bricks are continuing to erode. So what we've done is we're going to watch those dry rods over the next few weeks, and then we'll take the sealer and apply the sealer over the brick, and hopefully that'll do it. If not, we do have some old bricks in the back that we will use in the brick wall to help to replace some of those decaying bricks. Another product we're using is this dry coat. It's a rust preventative coating, and I have sprayed that on some of the structural steel up on the roof. When we get up on the roof, I'll show you that. And it's actually done a really nice job of preventing the steel from rusting before we're dried in. I simply applied it with the same bug sprayer that you apply the sealer with, and you just spray the steel really well and it dries. And I have not tried this yet, but in order to get the product off of the steel once we're all dried in, you're supposed to be able to just take soapy water and rub the steel down, and the product will come right off. Another steel product we are using is this rust converter right here, and it's done a fantastic job on this old beam in the front of the building. We had this old beam that we discovered early on right above the windows, and this was put in at some point probably in the 1950s when they did a renovation, and they added this front. You can see the beam up there at the top, but what has happened is the old beam has rusted over time. So I've actually gone ahead and applied the first coat of rust converter. We'll go ahead and do some more of that here in a moment so you can see how it reacts. And after the rust converter has dried for 48 hours, we're going to apply this acrylic primer to the steel. And what that'll do is that will lock out any moisture that could get on the steel and rust it in the future when it's buried inside the wall. And so that's simply a paint, and we got it from Sherwin-Williams. You apply it with a paintbrush and it goes right on. Another product we got over here is this Gecko patch. I'm going to get up on the roof and apply some of that. What that is liquid flashing, and we've used it pretty successfully to keep the water out of the building. And it's a very thick liquid paste, and I apply it with a paintbrush as well. One of the last things I've been doing is removing the rust from the old steel, or I should say new steel. The steel's been up so long I almost consider it old. What's happened over time is that the roof leaks and the steel rust whenever water gets on it. So it forms these rust spots, and then it also has some mill scale on it. And mill scale is when the steel comes out hot from the mill, and the outside surface kind of peels just like a sunburn would. And so you can go through and with the wire brush, usually get the mill scale right on the inside, but with the wire brush you can scrape that off, and you can see some areas maybe up in here where we've got some rust. But what I've been doing is I've been taking WD-40 and spraying on the steel, and WD-40 is a water displacement product, and that's what it was originally invented for. Now people use it for a lot of different things, but what I've been using it for is spraying on the steel to remove the rust. And I kind of, every time I come up here, I spray a little WD-40 on the steel. You can see a little rust on the inside right here. It's very dark and hard to see, but all you do is you just spray the WD-40 on the rust spots. You really coat it very heavily, and when I come back next time, that rust will be gone. The WD-40, what it does, it just eats it away. And so what's happened, some of these columns right here that were up front, they were exposed to the outside for about 6 months, and they rusted, and they've got this really nice pitting that's happened on them. Kind of, it's hard to see down here at the bottom, but what I've done is I have sprayed the WD-40 onto these columns, and so it's gotten rid of the orange rust, but it leaves kind of this dark colored surface, these surface pits on it, and it really adds a lot of character to the columns. You can see right here when the Warner Brothers came in and they filmed that episode, this is where they burned the front brick wall with the explosions. Pretty neat. There's some on the other side as well. But yeah, that's it. Let's go outside, and what we'll do is we will apply some of this rust inhibitor to the old steel beam up top. All right, I changed my mind. That ladder is a pain to move. So I think what I'll do is just go up on the roof and do some of this roof patching. It's supposed to rain over the next week, so it would be good to go ahead and get the roof patching out. I just walked up the stairs. We're gonna be working on the stairs this week, trying to straighten them out, just put the final pieces on it. The stair is a very integral part of your experience when you come to the second floor. As you come out on the roof, this is the view, just fantastic. We'll do a quick overview of where we are right now. We've had to put some tarps up. Again, it's supposed to really rain over the next week. The tarps that were up there are just kind of shredded with all of the wind. This time we were a little bit smarter, and we didn't put the screws down through the perforated deck. I was really disappointed in that, but once we backed all the screws out, you really can't tell where they were. We are getting a little bit of, you see it's not necessarily rust, but it's some type of reaction that's happening with the beam and the metal deck. The deck itself is actually galvanized, so it's not really going to rust, but you can see what it's done is the top of this beam is not primed. I don't have any sort of sealer on it, so the water that has gotten on it has kind of created this white paste. I'm hoping that that's going to be very simple to just rub off. Now, it could be the product that I put on the beam to keep it from rusting. I did spray a second coat on the beams, and after I sprayed that second coat, that's when I noticed the white material forming on the deck. So we'll get up there and try to scrub that off. But again, hopefully in the next couple weeks, we have a superintendent that is clearing up from another job and is going to be back full-time over here at the office. This virus has thrown us off a little bit, but it's been kind of okay. It's allowed me to catch up with the design and finish some of the details that I wanted to tweak. You can see here I've gone through and I've primed everything as well. Looks fantastic. I don't see any evidence of rust kind of coming through the prime coat. I've got about 3 coats on the structure now. But the sun is just absolutely brutal up here. It's in the 90s today, and just very, very hot. So what we're going to do is we are going to go through, and you see a lot of these cracks, we call it alligatoring, so it looks like the texture of an alligator. And what has happened is when it rains, water just seeps down through it and soaks the wood roof boards, and that water eventually comes out. You can see here some of this black. It's where I took and coated in the past. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of concentrate over here a little bit and put the coating down and work my way back up through here, and we'll see what that does, how it holds the water out. But yeah, this is the view from the deck. It's just really fantastic. These businesses are trying to survive. You can see Universal Joint is just closed up right now. Now it is kind of around 4 o'clock. I wanted to try to see Local Republic and McRae's just created an outside seating patio on the square, which should be fantastic. You can kind of see it down there. Should be fantastic to sit there and eat, because it will receive the shade in the afternoon. It just will be a neat experience. But yeah, here's the building. We've actually got the second floor steel finished, and what we're going to do is start on the inside with the steel, and then we'll get some metal studs going here and sheath the building. Here's the patch product that you use. It's a silicone roof patch, and probably the hardest part of all of this is getting the top open. I simply take a piece of take an end right here and peel it up, and you've got to do that all the way around, and then the top pops off. But like I said, that's probably the hardest part of applying this. Okay, we made it all the way around, peeled up each of those tabs. I'm sure somebody probably makes a tool that will make that a lot easier, but it just is a little bit time consuming. But when you take the top off, you've got a nice smooth liquid on the top, and it really kind of smells. So I use my gas mask right here so I don't pass out on the roof. But what I try to do is you want to mix up this very thoroughly. You can see here what's happened is it's separated. So you just want to mix it up very thoroughly, and then it becomes this kind of gooey paste that you apply. But it takes a little bit of time to spend with it to get all of this liquid that's risen to the top mixed in. That's pretty well mixed up now. You can kind of see the consistency. When I pull this out, it's it flows freely, but it's very kind of thick and pasty. And I'll just apply it with this paintbrush over here. And all you do is you just coat the areas that you want to coat, and that's it. So all you do is you just take your paintbrush, dip it in the patch, and spread it out on top of the roof. Like I said, it's kind of this thick paste, and so it's just a process of going over and over until you get the coverage that you want. That right there is pretty well covered. All right, so I'm gonna spend probably the next hour or so putting this out. Now, what I will do is I'm gonna go get my gloves and my gas mask and put that on there. So let me get to work on that, and I'll be back. All right, guys, that's it. I put out 3 of the buckets of the roofing mastic, and you can kind of see it. There's the shiny spots. I sort of concentrated down on the area in the center of the building because it kind of slopes towards the center, and then there at the end where the water runs off. So hopefully that will stop some of the water from coming to the inside of the building. I appreciate you guys watching. If you haven't liked the video, if you could go ahead and do that, that would be outstanding. Be a big help to the channel. And if you haven't subscribed, please please go ahead and subscribe so we can grow the channel as well. I appreciate each of you watching, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.